and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, for some Barca news coming your way. And there is plenty on the agenda today, with words from our president, Joan Laporta. We're also going to be talking about his meeting with the super agent, Jorge Mendes, where plenty of players were discussed, and one of those was indeed Bernardo Silva. We're also going to be taking a look at the very first images of Barca's away kit for the coming season. It is all coming today, so let's get to it. But if we do indeed begin with those words from Joan Laporta, and I do want to bring you these words because I found them actually quite uplifting, quite motivating actually, coming from him yesterday when he was speaking there ahead of the vote that's going to take place on June the 16th, whereby the Socios are going to vote there on whether they are for or against the board's proposals in terms of those economic levers. They are going to be voting there to approve the sale of a minority stake in Barca licensing and merchandising, along with a sale as well of a percentage of the club's TV rights, and that is all going to take place, like I say, on June the 16th. And Laporta said yesterday, by activating these economic levers, the club will return to normal sooner than we expected. He said, I can tell you that on Thursday, if you vote for it, we will launch these economic deals. That means that we will have a positive net worth, a normal debt ratio, and that we will be able to sign to be competitive. He said, we all want a strong Barca that can compete with state clubs. And we will see on June the 16th, like I say, whether the club members vote in favour of the board's plans. And if these levers can go ahead and be activated, what's going to happen after that time? Well, on Wednesday in Barcelona, there was indeed a pretty high-profile meeting there between Joan Laporta, members of the Barcelona board, and also the super agent, Jorge Mendes. And this right here is not the first time that we've seen the board meet with Mendes over the past few months. This is something that has been happening quite frequently, I've got to say. And Jorge Mendes, after the meeting, did admit that we discussed many players this evening, and he said that the meeting went very, very well indeed. He was certainly upbeat afterwards, and it does seem as though Barca here are establishing quite a close relationship with Jorge Mendes. Already within the club, he's the agent there of Ansu Fati, of Alejandro Balde, of Nico González. So already there, he's starting to represent quite a few of our own players. And of course, don't forget that his agency, they manage a huge amount of players right throughout the footballing world. And even Mendes himself holds a very close relationship with entire clubs. You think there of his very close ties with Wolves. He helps them with a lot of deals. He was the man who was able to help us with the sale of Semedo going to Wolves, and also Valencia in the past, and a number of Portuguese clubs as well, are very closely tied with Mendes. And I think what I would say with regard to that relationship is I would rather be on good terms with him than on bad terms. You know, in terms of a football agent in today's game, I'd rather be close with them than further away, because the kind of influence that they hold, we all know how important agents are these days in player decisions about where they go, about how much it's going to cost, all of that kind of stuff. So Barca here, having this relationship with Mendes, it can certainly be of use to all parties involved. Because in that meeting, one of the players who was discussed was indeed Nico. We spoke about him yesterday and his future at the club. And straight after the meeting, actually, Jorge Mendes came out and he's very open. He said Barca have no intention of selling Nico González. He said they've been very, very clear. They do not want to sell him this summer. He said although there have been proposals, he did admit there that offers had come in for Nico. I think that's definitely there from the side of Wolves. They're very heavily interested in him, but Barca do not want to let him go. It's said in the media today that Xavi feels that Nico is a really key part of his project in terms there of the future, in terms of a young player who can only grow and improve, and especially looking to next season when in midfield we might start to see different kinds of structures, different kinds of variations in that midfield, and I do feel as though Nico is definitely going to be a part of Xavi's plans for next season. One of the other players mentioned in the meeting was another Jorge Mendes client and Barca player, of course, Fransisco Trincão. We spoke yesterday about the fact that he's been very heavily linked with a return to Portugal there, to Sporting Lisbon. They're very keen on Trincão, and he would indeed be happy to move there. But yesterday we did discuss the struggles in terms of he has big wages. That was one of the stumbling blocks with this deal. But apparently the other one right now is also that Barca would like to include an obligation to buy in a loan deal. So they'd be happy to loan Trincão to Sporting for this season, but they'd want that obligation. So at the end of that loan, Sporting would have to buy Trincão, that the money there would be guaranteed. And I also just wonder, could it be a similar sort of deal to what we did last season with Wolves, whereby actually there was an obligation. Wolves were expected to buy Trincão at the end of it, but they could opt out of that. And if they did do that, they'd have to pay a penalty. That's why, for the past season, although he only went on loan, Barca earned €6 million from that Trincão deal. And I do wonder here, is something similar going to happen? And was that what Mendes was discussing in the meeting yesterday? But it was very interesting, because also in that meeting, it has been widely reported there that Jorge Mendes brought along an offer from a Portuguese club, from FC Porto, for Clement Lenglet. And this, for me, it is a big talking point, because of course Lenglet is one of those players that Barca are desperately trying to shift this summer. Very big wages. But the problem is, it's been reported this deal would again only be that loan deal, because I think right now when you're looking at players like Clement Lenglet, and the problem that Barca have is they're on such high wages that it's very unlikely that a club is going to come in, pay a transfer fee and pay those wages too. It's usually going to be one or the other. Either the club are going to come in, buy him, but then Lenglet would have to really reduce that salary, or it's only going to be a loan deal, and that then would be the club taking care of those huge wages. So Porto are very interested in Lenglet. It's going to depend on the player, but Mendes bringing something to the table, I hope that something could happen. There were also quite a few links in the media after this meeting there with Rafael Leao, the AC Milan forward there, Portuguese, another Mendes client, very impressive season that he just had, and also João Felix, of course, another Mendes client there, very high profile, and we know that Laporta is a very big fan of his, but honestly, in terms of those two players, I don't really see them being possible signings this summer. Financially, it's going to be very difficult for either of those two, but I do want to bring you Bernardo Silva, because it was very interesting to see Fabrizio Romano confirming in that meeting, yes, Bernardo Silva, another Mendes client, he was discussed, and he was the main name in that meeting. Xavi, we know, is a huge fan of Bernardo Silva, as we've spoken about that before. We also know that last summer Bernardo Silva actively wanted to leave Man City to be closer to his family, and he may be open again to an exit this summer and potentially to Barca. But also what Fabrizio had to say, and also what we all know is, right now, it's not a deal that we could do. The kind of money that Man City would demand, they got him under contract, he's a key player, he would certainly demand a huge transfer fee, and Fabrizio has said it would only be possible, you know it's coming guys, if we sold Frenkie de Jong. That's the only way we could think about this deal. Now, when it comes to Frenkie de Jong, we don't really have any new information, nothing, too concrete right now, but in the media it is being said that Xavi may just be starting to accept that Frenkie may be on his way this summer. Xavi is starting to open up to the fact that de Jong may be sold in this transfer window. And I do just want to say, though, on this, looking at the way the transfer window is going, looking at the way that a few deals are starting to form in this window, we spoke about it yesterday. Tchouaméni going from Monaco there to Real Madrid for a deal that could reach €100 million. Now it's being talked about in the media about Darwin Núñez going from Benfica to Liverpool in a deal that, again, could reach €100 million. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, surely then, 80 million for de Jong, I'm sorry, but that's probably not enough. I mean, that is not enough right now. When you're looking at the way the market is going, the kind of fees that are being paid out, these are good players. Tchouaméni, fantastically talented player. Núñez, we all know about his quality that he's shown this season, but de Jong, he's a proven player too. He's a high-quality player, so by no means should we be accepting anything less than what these other current deals are going for, and that is certainly something the club has to bear in mind. But of course, what I also wanted to show you in today's video, guys, is this right here, because it has been sort of leaked there with footy headlines, the new Barca away kit. And I'm wondering what you make of that, because like I say, the home kit I think is an improvement on last season's. I think the colours and in general the design is a better one, but that away kit to me, it looks quite simple. They've gone for quite a simple approach. I've got to say as well, last season's away kit, I like the logo, I like the crest, I like the way that it looked. It seemed like that was only going to be a one-off thing. It's just going to be a standard one this year, but I do also wonder what that strip is going to look like with Spotify on it. With the sponsorship logo, it might look a little bit different and maybe, to be honest, a little bit better. But what do you make there of that leaked away kit from Barca for next season? That should be very soon officially announced to us all. But let me know your thoughts, guys, in the comments down below on everything I've discussed in today's video in terms of that meeting there with Jorge Mendes. So many different players, he's got so much influence over the transfer market. What do you make of some of those rumours? And in particular there, the links to Bernardo Silva. Let me know those thoughts down below. An update with Barca news here for you today. Thanks for watching, and as always, guys, for supporting. I will see you soon. But until next time, as always, Visca! El Barça!